Okay, I think this is episode 4 now. I'm gonna have to go through, look at this stuff so I don't lose track. The celestial alignment is when the stars and planets line up as to remember, as a memory of the formation time of the galaxy. So what's happening here is a galaxy is supposedly formed in these epic, huge dust cloud star nebulas where stars are formed. There's space clouds of seemingly random mass. There's H2O rocks, there's petrified this, there's petrified that, there's minerals from stars that have exploded. There's certain elements that are rare and some are common. There's carbons. You get all this leftover stuff that was the end of something else as a means of a beginning for something else, as a part of a whole eternal cycle. When a galaxy is being formed, a point of gravity, like a consciousness in space, it recognizes itself, and it's just a point in space that has a high enough gravity to start pulling stuff in a little bit. So as stuff starts to pull in, like a random asteroid in a space cloud, it's big, so some other asteroids crash into it and it starts to build up mass. And this crashing and building climaxes until that first piece of mass starts to become a star, a really bright star, because it's burning high fuel as it begins. But being that it's in the dust cloud with all this leftover mass that wants to be a part of something again, mass comes together. More mass keeps falling in until you get one giant pull of mass to this gravitational center. Now, this is what's happening here. This gravitational center in space, forming into this really bright star, is actually moving through space. Everything in space is actually moving to some direction or another. It's tricky to notice or not notice, because if you're moving relative to that mass, it'll seem like it's not moving. So, being that space is infinite, there's a limitless spectrum of different speeds of movement. Your speed of movement or frequency of vibration also puts you in a dimensional plane, so you're still there, but there's different channels of being there. The celestial alignment happens because the galaxy's remembering when it was formed. According to research, it happens 26 to 30,000 years, every 26 to 30,000 years. And when it happens, pretty much all large mass of the galaxy, let's just focus on the Milky Way right now. The galaxy, our star is in. We call our star the sun, and then that star is feeding the earth with all sorts of life-giving energy as a part of repeating the expression of the cycle, or the cycles have limitless, eternal expressions of the source creator of everything repeating itself in different ways. Well, what happens is we'll go back to when a galaxy's forming. When a galaxy's forming, its main gravitational center is actually moving while it's developing a stronger gravitational pull, pulling in all sorts of mass. It reaches a certain stage in its gravitational strength and then does a huge pull in, but while it's moving. So it pulls in all this mass around it, and the mass actually falls into the center But being that it fell in with all that momentum, the mass actually splashes right through the gravitational center, kind of making a temporal union. The galaxy, in a liquid form of all liquid globuli chunks that kind of explode off of each other, they try to fall back to the gravitational center, but it's moving, so they miss and start orbiting. And in the smaller chunks that broke off of the smaller chunks, they try to fall back. So, for example, when Earth was formed, when Earth was born, right, off of the sun and its sibling planets, all of the planets have like a special bump in which they all broke off of each other. It's not necessarily the North and South Pole, but after let's use the Earth for example. After the Earth broke off of its siblings, they all broke off of each other. Like if you stare inside of a lava lamp and watch the mass break off, you'll see little small spherical chunks break off between them. Those are moons and smaller planets. It's showing you what it looked like when the galaxy was being formed. So when the Earth was freshly formed, theoretically, to me, the Earth just responded to gravity. Mass tries to come together. So the Earth tried to fall back into the sun, but missed because the sun was moving. The sun was trying to fall back into the gravitational center of the galaxy. But the gravitational center of the galaxy, that's moving. So everyone tried to fall back together into this loving, warm feeling of wholeness and unity, but they all missed and started orbiting around each other. And orbitations have a certain consistency where certain numbers of nature get reused, and the pattern in which they're all moving makes some kind of a consistent music. Some say the moon broke off of the Earth at some epic event. That's possible. But my theory is the moon formed as the Earth formed, and the rest of them formed at the same time. When they all kind of splashed off of each other, when they all fell in and then splashed back out, they all splashed back out at different sizes. So you got Jupiter going this way, you got Mars and Venus going this way, Earth and Mercury and everybody. And then everyone tries to fall back, but they miss and start orbiting. So Mercury tries to fall back, but then it misses. So it's going like this at that same speed, just missing, To be continued. Next episode should be episode 5. Thank you.